Honorable Ecweru. Once again, welcome to Gang. And your docket right now in the management of COVID-19 in Uganda is food distribution. Is that correct?
Precisely, yes.
Yes. And the reason I invited you this morning is because last week, Honorable Ssemujju said you were doing a spectacularly bad job. So he said it on air, and I thought the best thing to do is to invite you.
I have revised now.
You have revised.
They were doing no job at all.
First of all, Oscar, I would have been surprised if Honorable Ssemujju praised what I'm doing. I would have been surprised.
But if he gives you feedback, from last week he said you are doing a spectacularly bad job. Now he says you have not done any job.
No, for the country, for the listeners out there, first of all, I want to thank you, Capital, for making me come here to explain one or two things that we are doing. The truth is that this is a very unique operation. I have been in this docket for a while, handling issues of emergency, but I think this one has really tested my patience and sometimes also my ability to make things happen. Why? Because first of all, the target groups, Honorable Ssemujju and colleagues, to give relief to people in informal settlements. Informal settlements, what you call slums, in the capital city of Uganda, Kampala. And then you are told that they must never congregate. And therefore you must do it door to door. Then when you go to the ground, you discover that, of course, I will be sharing again also with you my own findings in some of these informal settlements. You discover one of the things that you will find there is that while you think everybody has a door, there are people who have been living all these years in channels, in abandoned wagons, railway wagons. And so if you are going to look for those who have doors so that you can serve them, then those who will surface, probably half of the target group, don't even have a door to show you. That's how bad some of the slums can be. So we have been here, and it's
you
challenging.
You did not ask at the beginning. I have people who are staying in taxis.
It's very challenging. So the operation is unique. Then also the way it was started, Oscar. COVID-19 arrives. The president and cabinet resolve that the best thing to do is to lock down the country partially. And then we sought advice from technical people. How can we do it? Can we warn the country that we're going to do this in the next 1 or 2 days? The technical advisors, then it defeats the purpose of the lockdown. We must do it abruptly so that we don't create a stampede in the country that will make many people to run from the center, from Kampala, to run to Mulanda, to run to Moroto, to run to Arua, to run to Kisoro, because they would think they can fend for themselves in those parts, in their own villages. If we do that, we'll have lit the country if, for example, the capital city is already infected. So we resolved, okay, Your Excellency, you may have to proceed and lock down the country. In locking down the country, we now realize that among the many challenges that the citizens are facing, we ranked the challenges, very many. I wouldn't want even to have time. I don't think I will have time to run through all of them. But one of the challenges, those who are now caught up in these capitals, in the urban areas, particularly Kampala and its periphery, who have been surviving on hand to mouth. You are talking about this, the president has defined some of them, but we have gone ahead to even discover that there are other groups. For example, apart from the hand to mouth groups, we realize there are these other groups like the orphans that are all over this place, but they have not been caught in our radar when we have been planning. We didn't know we have thousands, because these orphanages apparently have been self-sustaining because their donors have been running them. So for us, we are thinking that, sometimes we do normal things. We go to institutions that are established that we know, and we think, oh, those ones may be existing, but somehow we didn't quite know the magnitude of their problem. They also got affected because now the donors, some of them are locked out of the country, and even the stream of support is not coming, amounting to close to about 4,000 to 5,000 just within Kampala, Mukono, and Wakiso, those orphanages. So we realized that these categories must be addressed. While that was the case, we discovered there is no money in our system to implement this emergency. So we must run to Parliament. So because this is a democracy, if it was during Idi Amin's time, Amin would have just said go and end of mulete pesa, and then would have walked to Bank of Uganda. But democracy has problems sometimes. So we have to go to Oscar Ssemujju, we have to go to Honorable Katuntu. Please, we need a supplementary. Then they said no, much as it is urgent, we must do our work professionally. They took scrutinizing our supplementary, they took nearly 2 weeks. People are starving. And it's 1 week and
that's not true. That's not true. Please,
so they took time
Musa.
scrutinizing our supplementary. By then they pronounced themselves and said nobody should proceed to do this thing until we are done with our scrutiny. Now I told them, my friends, you Parliament and the executive gave me the docket of monitoring the signals of distress in the country. And in monitoring the signals of distress in the country, it is my duty to read those that are life-threatening. If I find there is life-threatening challenge, I'm duty-bound to intervene immediately to save lives. So that's why the exercise was launched on the 4th, even without resources. So Oscar, the reality is that by the time Prime Minister Dr. Ofwono Opondo launched this exercise, we had no money in our kitty. We just depended on the goodwill of government, and that's where also some problems came in.
What does goodwill of a government mean?
The government has that reliable track record that if it takes something on credit, it will pay.
Oh.
So we said, okay,
That's a very day.
yes. So if it takes something on credit, it will pay. So that's what we depended on. So we asked the technical people, can you now proceed and secure some food? That's why you find that some of them are now running problems, because for them, they also now, I think, thought, oh, it is an opportunity, there is so much dust here, maybe they can take advantage of one or two things. That's why you find, for example, they went and mobilized the so-called big suppliers that are traditionally established in the country. And in mobilizing them, they agreed on prices that when it were critically scrutinized were found to a little bit be outrageous. And that's why people ran into this problem. Now, realize for me, I was sharing with my cabinet colleagues, here am I, a general facing a problem, COVID-19, I'm supposed to distribute relief. Now my lieutenants, the fighters, have been captured. They captured the PS, they captured the commissioner, they captured the... So I was now a general without troops. But I had to continue advancing alone. Fortunately, government was quick to mobilize another team, and now I have an accounting officer. I now have all those other technical people replacing the other group. So this all has brought the speed that you have been witnessing. It is not that it was deliberate on our side to move on snail speed when we know the magnitude of the problem. The challenges were huge, but I am happy to report to the country that the speed is now a lot better. It may not be to the speed that the HED president and the general public expects, but say that from yesterday, we switched on all our systems in the 5 divisions of Kampala, and there was distribution in all those. Even as we talk now, all the divisions are receiving support. There are challenges, but those challenges are now surmountable, in my opinion. That is one. The second one is we now looked at the quality. The quality, initially, many people, Oscar was saying, why did you choose this kind of food? It is not true that we deliberately went and said we want an inferior product. But like I've indicated to the country, the people who were switched on to bring have been these big suppliers. Apparently, these big suppliers, because they have always dominated the market, they also seem to have also taken both the United Nations groups that they have been supplying and also government for granted. So they have not been putting so much focus on this quality thing of quality. They have been supplying in big quantities, all right, but the quality was kind of compromised. So when we checked their food, for example, I want to again repeat on air here, the first group that were told had brought a lot of food, but the food didn't look very good, was Aponye. So I went with the Prime Minister personally to the stores. One container had food which was, in fact, in the words of the Prime Minister, it says the quality may not be very good, but I think it is edible. That's also what I saw. But indeed, that container was passed by UNBS to be edible. The people can use it. But the second container, they had packed things that were dirty. So when it was checked, fine, but how come this one doesn't compare with the first one we opened? And for that reason, we decided to reject the whole thing, because we saw bad faith in what they were doing. Said, now, why do you do this?
Bad manners, basically.
Yes, so we saw that, and that's why we rejected the whole. So it is not that government deliberately is mobilizing. In fact, the position of government to all the suppliers, even in the face of this crisis, is that before you supply us, ask yourself, me, Abdu Katuntu and company, I want to supply you food. But before I do it, this type of food that I want to give you, government, can I eat it with my family? If the answer is no, then don't supply us, and that is our position. So I want to tell the country that we are
putting that right. The problem you have, Honorable Musa Ecweru, is if you have only managed to supply in 14 days 5 areas in Kampala.
5 divisions.
5 divisions in Kampala for 14 days.
Yes.
So how will you have this run across the entire country?
No, that also must be put into perspective. The truth is that we have 44 million Ugandans. Let me make this abundantly clear, Oscar. We are not about to feed all the 45 million Ugandans.
That's okay.
Because it will bring paralysis to other sectors. But
you're avoiding my question. My question to you was, it has taken you 14 days to supply the 5 divisions. How will you supply all of it?
No, I have indicated to you the problem was in the initial stages. There were so many challenges. We have overcome that now. That's why
now in one day, what can you do?
In the next few days, we'll be concluding Kampala, and then we move to Ssemujju's area, that is Wakiso. In the next few days, we'll be in Wakiso. Of course, I've also got signals. They are saying while you are dealing with some areas in Wakiso that are just within Kampala, Entebbe slums are saying, you don't seem to be highlighting our plight. So that those are the kind of challenges. So after here, I am going to meet the team of ministers who have been seconded to me. Incidentally, I want to make it clear that all these divisions have teams, Honorable Ssemujju. For example, you will find that Honorable Baryomuzi has been seconded to Nakawa. And what then does he know about Honorable Ogwang has been seconded to Makinde. Honorable Beni has been seconded to Rubaga. Honorable Magesi has been seconded to Central. And then there is another person in charge of Kawempe, Honorable Kafunzi. So these people are supposed to do support supervision, coordinate the other team, so that they leave me and Honorable Betia Amongi, the Minister for Kampala Capital City, to be like in the tactical headquarters. So that if there is anything that they get on the ground, they relay to us, and then if it is something that we cannot handle immediately, we can also share it to the person who assigned us the responsibility, that's the Right Honorable Prime Minister. And that's how we have been moving. And I can tell you, I want to assure the country that yes, we may not have met the expectations 100%, but we are doing our best, and the situation is getting better every day.
You're going to have a problem. Why use the ministers when you have LDUs and LC1
support supervision? All these people are involved. For example, we don't go to any village. We have 551 villages in the entire Kampala. That we are targeting. Now, all those villages, we have the LC1 seconded to our operations, and then we have also our systems. I wouldn't want to say it on air, but now that you're pushing me in a corner, I want to tell you, as a government, even under normal circumstances, we have security in all those villages. So we have switched them on. And they work with this, because if the LOC1 is such a person who because remember during the last elections, that's where sometimes also this problem of lining up is a problem. The chairpersons were elected, LOC was by lining up. So some of them saw some of their locals who didn't line behind them. So if you rely on them 100%, they will say, no, Ofwono is not our member here, he just came. It is only Katuntu, it is only... So for us now, we have groups that will say, no, I think the LOC1 is misleading this team. Ofwono is also a resident here. Now, the other good news that I want to share with the country, the Interreligious Council of Uganda, chaired by His Eminence, the Mufti, met the president and said, how do we come in? Because, Your Excellency, you have regulated this distribution, but we want to see how we can also play a role. So they have been seconded. They sent a bishop who has been seconded to my team. Now that group has also come in. I have given them a complete store. They are receiving, because they are very popular. For example, people have confidence in them, a little more confident in them than even us, So people are giving them donations. So those donations by the Interreligious Council come to us, and we have a store, and they have seconded us their clerks. Now, what is also going to happen is they have switched on their systems all the way from the national level to the villages, and beginning with the Kampala. So for every distribution that is going to take place, there is the structure of government, which is captaining the process. But then also there is this group of neutral people. It can be an imam here, it can be a bishop here, it can be a pastor here, those trusted by the Interreligious Council, because they also have their own colleagues who they trust, and they have seconded them to us. So I want to assure the people of Kampala, for example, that you will be reached. For example, I was told when they were doing Kawempe, I think there was a village where people missed around Mulago on the assumption that the teams that were distributing saw good houses and thought everybody there is okay, not knowing that in Kampala you find poor people kind of punctuate the areas where the rich live, and so that has been challenging. So that has been also.
Finally, from me, Honorable Ecweru, who's choosing? Who chooses? Who has chosen Kampala? Because Parliament had said no, you don't start with Kampala, but then you chose Kampala, then now Wakiso. So who is choosing the next area? Is that you?
I begged Parliament, I pleaded to Parliament, and they gave me a green light.
Okay. No. So you choose the areas where to go?
No, we do not just choosing, we do critical assessment. I've told you, we do a lot of ranking of the challenges. For example, we know for sure, and I want the people of Teso, for example, who are listening, because some of them are very pissed off with me. They say, why didn't you start in Teso?
Let's use better words. This is a morning program.
Yes, I've told them, no, I am a Ugandan minister. I'm a minister for Uganda. We sat here as a team managing this national challenge, and we did the ranking. We realized, for example, yes, there are problems in Teso, there are problems in Busoga, there are problems all over. But the problem of Kampala slums, if you are talking about Katanga, Oscar, if you are talking about Kisenyi, if you are talking about Kinawataka, the people there have zero options. While in Abdu Katuntu's constituency and village, they are in a bad shape, but at least they can go to a backyard and get some vegetables that have grown naturally because of this kindness of God. There is rain now, so they can survive on it. It is not good, it's not palatable, but it is not a question of now how comfortable we are. It is a question of survival. So we are sure in the rural areas they will survive. So I want also to say, before I forget, Mr. Oscar, the people, for example, in my place, Abu may challenge me, and Oscar, I know they are going to try to shoot down what I'm saying, but I'm prepared for whatever. Now the reality is that they have called me and told me, Ecweru, we in Amuria or in Teso, for example, we know you may not deliver us food now because of the challenges and the cost implications given the magnitude of the problem. But please go and tell your colleagues in the government, we need hose right now, honey hose. Don't wait about tractors. Bring us honey. We need planting materials now. We need cassava cuttings, we need potato vines, we need sorghum, because we have eaten some of our seeds. We need now, the third thing they are asking me, tell your friends in government, in the last bad season when there was waterlogging and flooding, the mosquito population multiplied tenfold. So now while we are waiting, while we are trying to keep COVID-19 at bay, malaria is killing us. Please bring treated mosquito nets. Then the rest will gamble a bit. We think we'll defeat this COVID-19, but we'll produce some food. So that's what they have told me.
Okay, let's stop for a quick break, and then after that we'll have responses from the table.
The Capital Gang on 91.3 Capital FM. The Capital Gang on 91.3 Capital FM.
Welcome back from just a short break to allow Honorable Ecweru to have both the tea and the juice, because he has been talking. Honorable Katuntu, let's start with you.
The man has two chapatis in his mouth, and then you give him to talk. Why don't you give Ssemujju?
Let us have Katuntu begin.
That's how he handles it always.
Biden Musa is one of, I think, the most active ministers in the Museveni regime.
I'm humble.
And at a personal level, I like him. But having said that, disagreeing with him, I'm sure I will not take it personal because he knows I have some respect for him. One, let us look at the facts as they are. It is not true that Parliament spent 3 weeks or 2 weeks scrutinizing. I can tell you, because I've even just been talking to the clerk, the budget committee took only 3 days to scrutinize the COVID budget. 3 days. And when they made the report to the House, it did not even take an hour to pass that budget. And some of us were complaining because, one, it never afforded us the opportunity to actually scrutinize what was in the report of the budget committee. So if you are to blame Parliament for delaying, please, I think just if you are doing it for public relations, it's not fair. 2, we never gave you authority to distribute foodstuffs only in Kampala before you do to other areas. Our view, which I'm sure the speaker pronounced herself on, was that there are many other urban areas. We are not talking about villages, because with the villages we all appreciate that somehow people are in their gardens and there is some food. But if you are talking about slums, it is wrong for government to say that there are only slums attackers in Kampala. You go to Jinja, you find the same sort of slums. You go to Mbarara, you'll find the same, even Arua, same sort of slums. And the people in Nawataka are feeling the same blunt like those ones in all those areas. So our view then and still now is, if you are to talk about the affected people, those who have been affected so much, then you needed to look at broadly outside Kampala and Wakiso to other urban areas, even in Soroti itself. People in Kengere, I'm sure you know what Kengere is. I have been there. There is no difference between a Kengerean and this one in Nawataka. Actually, the one in Nawataka could even be better than the Kengere person. However, you decided that what matters is Kampala. We still have that point of disagreement with you. 3, you are talking about your people now want plantings, materials and so on. The planting season is over.
That's it has just started.
Oh, let me tell you, the planting season is literally over last week. No. It would be wrong for somebody to start talking about planting season 2 weeks today.
No. It's on the Abdu Katuntu. While that may be true for certain parts of the country, I was in Teso, Karamoja a week ago. Teso has not had rain. It's just starting now. Yes, for Teso.
I'm very honest about this.
Yes.
But at least in many areas, the planting season is what? Is over. And so on. So sometimes, and that's what people who get free planting materials, the mistakes they make, is they get the seeds and go and plant outside the planting season. And that is wrong. Lastly, this level of incompetence. Because how can a government tell me that they even didn't know how many orphans are in Kampala? How? You don't know how many orphanages are in Kampala? You didn't know how bad, how dire the situation was in some of these slums? But you have all these institutions. You have a whole ministry, you have departments and so on, who are paid data and they move to your office to monitor these sort of situations within Kampala. And if you don't know what is going on in Kampala, I wonder whether you know what goes on in up country. So really, this is a wake-up call about your level of incompetence.
As a department, or as what now?
You as a government. Really, you should be ashamed of this. You should really be ashamed of this. And this, because you see, every day in the House, on the radios, on televisions, people are telling you this is the level of suffering of our people, and the people who are suffering are this magnitude. And you have been putting on a very brave face and saying, no, everything is okay, everything is fine. Now you are faced with the real situation.
Honorable Ssemujju.
You see, I have been buying and distributing food in my constituency. One day Mufona helped me to get maize from Nachifuma. If you gave me Chira with a population of near now 500,000, in one day I can distribute for you food in the whole of Chira. And you've not seen me anywhere, and you don't need to see me anywhere. The trouble is that while you have the security infrastructure, you don't have the leadership and political infrastructure in Kampala. And you have seized this as an opportunity to do politics, pretending that you are not doing politics. Because what do these ministers that you are mentioning, Ogwang, Kafuzi, so and so, what do they know about Kampala? What do they know about Wakiso? In the constituency where I am an MP, I know who sleeps in a taxi, because I interact with them every day. I know the LOCs. I was speaking to Ogwang, and I told him, even the LOCs, I will tell you who is a Muyaye and who is a leader, because there are Muyaye who influenced the system and became leaders. You have decided from day one that the leadership of Kampala, and I saw the road mayor cautioning you, will not be involved because they are opposition. And then you have a committee, because here, if you have a committee to distribute food, if you have a committee, if you have a committee to distribute food in Kampala, how can you not have the road mayor? How can you not have the deputy road mayor and all the councillors and all the leaders in Kampala? But let's face it, even the MPs, so they are not involved. So Oscar, let's look at how this started. First, Parliament never delayed the money, because Honorable Ecweru knows it, that even as they were walking into Parliament with a request to have a supplementary approved, they were already involved in procurement. They didn't even wait. And I saw the president making that point, because Parliament approved the money like on Wednesday, and then on Saturday you were flagging off. So
approved it on Wednesday.
So you did not wait. So the procurement had already started, and you have to be honest about that.
But you also released 20 billion shillings the day before you made the request.
So
you had already released 20 billion.
So therefore they did not wait. So the Honorable Ecweru must not blame Parliament at all. But the fight over who supplies the beans and posho almost started before even the Parliament approved. And that's why before the request. And that's why immediately you have Aponyo, you have someone, you have the PS and others arrested. When those people got arrested, the Honorable Ecweru, you need to be honest, because you know I like you as a person, and for many reasons. Then they stopped. Then they stopped the procurement themselves. Got bungled up, and they stopped even the procurement of the food itself. They just resumed about 2 days ago, and I now don't know, because you see, the impression the Honorable Ecweru creates is that they have all the food, and therefore the challenge was distribution. The first challenge is that you do not have food to distribute. Then you packed trucks, created an impression that the food is here, please wait. You have just got the food to distribute just yesterday. I'm not even sure that you have all of it, because you've said yourself that the stores are now full. So for 15 days, they are still looking for beans and posho to buy. The ones that had been supplied by the person, they rejected them. But that rejection came later. The first thing was that he was inflating prices. You can see from one point to another, from inflating prices to now beans being bad to now everything else. So this is where we are now. Oscar, you've said in 14 days they have distributed food in Kampala. They haven't finished Kampala. They have just distributed food in just about half Kampala. So in the next 14 days, maybe that's when they will cover Kampala. And that's why it tells you in the next few days. People in Wakiso are starving. I have never been in a crisis like this, Oscar, in my life. In fact, if I knew that being an MP means this, maybe I would never have offered myself. That you wake up every day, even before you wake up, people are knocking your gate with children, crying. People are sweating because they are walking distances. And I have called Ecweru, who is my friend. In the past, he's been picking my phone. Now he doesn't pick. I told him as he was walking here, because I have called him every day.
You was an inconvenience to him as a voter now.
Now I'm telling he doesn't pick my phone. People are crying in Kasokoso. That area is bigger than 3 constituencies of one ordinary MP.
Just being
we now have college cooking centers because people are feeding pregnant women, feeding on porridge, and this is what you've done. You are starving people, and then you are there following procedures and pretending you are following them, pretending you have food which is not there, just going around Kampala, establishing what Kampala is, taking records of how many villages are there. You can't discover Kampala in a process like this. There are people who know Kampala and know Wakiso. Ask them. Let me tell you, in Chira, if we have food ready, in one day I'll have food distributed to everybody. Because for you, where you live in, okay, I don't have to disclose, but where you live,
no, please do.
You will think that everybody is like you. Just next to your house, there are people there who cannot feed themselves. Honorable Ecweru, you will not know them because every day you sit in a car and then you go to work.
Okay.
So there is no way you're going to exclude the leaders in Kampala.
I live in Nambogo.
And then take forever procuring food.
He's your MP.
He's my MP, and he has been a good
and
MP.
he's refusing to pick my call. For the last 4 days, Ecweru is not picking my call. Because I want you to come to my gate. We sit there. Oscar, I had established an office at home thinking this is going to be like a holiday for me to work. Now I have a plastic chair seated in the middle of my compound because every second someone else is knocking. Another group is knocking. Where is food? I am dying. Children are here. We are going to leave them here. So this is the life that we are living. For you and all your ministers who are in Kampala as residents, some of them are on holiday.
Honorable Ssemujju, thank you for that rant. Honorable Ecweru, please answer Ssemujju's phone calls.
First of all,
no, hold on. Let's have that one is to you. Please answer Ssemujju's phone. He's your area MP. I didn't even know you live in my village.
I am going to mobilize to go to Echweru's home.
Okay.
In the next 48 hours, you have no food in Chira. I am
going to Echweru's.
that will be a temporary matter.
You are job.
I know that the Honorable Musa Ecweru answers his calls.
You are mandated to support Honorable Musa Ecweru.
I know because of the hiccups he has explained, logistical, personnel, bad manners, government bureaucracy.
Government incompetency.
You can say, obviously, government has some level of incompetence, sometimes major, and I agree with you that this is not the time to try and discover Kampala. We should have done that long ago. Even the orphanages that are run by private people, they should be known by government, security, Ministry of Gender. So in that respect, yes, there has been some level of no coordination. However, the challenges Honorable Ecweru enumerated are genuine, and I know that he has been in the stores. I think he spends 80% of his time actually in the stores, and when he's in that store, his phone is off. The phone of the other officers are off. Commissioner of Police.
His phone is going through. He's not picking Ofwono. Please don't.
Well, I'm saying in certain circumstances they are off. Yes. Commissioner of Police, Richard Diego, who is leading the technical team, the logistical technical team, can't be found, and so on. Trying to plan and implement. Now, Honorable Abdu Katuntu, yes, it is true that the slums in other parts of the country may be facing the same challenges as of Kampala. But government made the ranking Honorable Ecweru is talking about. There is that one which you didn't see, and which should call for empathy, deserve empathy really. For example, the government said, okay, we may have many slums, but in the ranking we said patients in government hospitals, regional hospitals, district hospitals.
That's true.
Where patients can't get food, administration can't get food, their caregivers who had been going back to their homes every day can't get food. So, apart from Kampala and Wakiso, yes, Honorable Ssemujju, yes. So, government decided that nationwide, perhaps the people in hospitals are more deserving than the people in the slums, and once things are done, now we are yes, no, and I have also said perhaps the people in the slums are much better than the patients in hospitals. This is what I'm saying. Now, we may be wrong in that analysis, but that's the analysis the government has and said, no, let us deal with the Kampala, deal with the regional hospitals, deal with the district hospitals. Hopefully, once logistical issues are sorted out, then we can roll out and say, how do we then deal with the next group? And those slums outside Kampala could come into play, and that's a legitimate discourse that we should be engaged in. Now, well, can it wait? Well, I am sure that even you in your own house, you rank the way you buy things in the house. This is not peculiar to government. Now, food supply, Honorable Ssemujju, if you have a good system, we would call you, because the other day the Prime Minister on the floor of Parliament said political parties with the representation in Parliament, their Secretary Generals should join the National Task Force. I would challenge you, if your Secretary General has come to that platform, and if he has tendered,
to be part of incompetence,
if he has tendered advice, and the advice was not taken, I think this is shying away from responsibility, because you are part of, and that task force cascades up to the district. So there's nothing that prevents an MP from going to interact with the cow of their respective district. How do we manage these challenges? On the competence of government, I mean, I don't think the government is deliberately incompetent. The truth of the matter is, in the country, we don't have
deliberately incompetent.
Yeah. No, the way you are speaking is as if this government is
the majority
deliberate.
of people are incompetent, but they don't know that they're incompetent.
Well, the other day you were the one crying here on this show that you passed the supplementary without debate.
Because now, I'm competent. I know what it takes.
Why didn't you prevent Parliament from passing budget without debate?
So wanted him to strangle people.
No, not physically. Through intellect. Through the
okay, that debate we are going to
have. Trust us.
You see, the reason you are scratching the table, these points are not easy.
No, because it is because
scratching the table as if
it is because I left you to speak uninterrupted. Now the two of you are trying to combine to disrupt me. But well, the point I'm making is, it is the government that has admitted the levels of hurdles, and it is the government that is saying have we sorted these problems 100%? Certainly not. But we are saying, if you go to Makindye now, last evening for the first time, listen, last evening for the first time,
oh my God,
we were able to deliver in Makindye 20 tons of beans and 30 tons of yes in Makindye.
Sorry, just a second. Can I ask you? Can I ask you a question?
Our assessment is that the corrections we have made in the system, the way food is coming into the store, and they are also leaving the store, they are reaching the constituencies. We should be able to cover a little more ground per day than a week ago. We have not had, yes, people are going through this twist, but we have not had, yes, when we have women with the children.
We have death now, if you don't know.
I am not aware.
After here, I'll give you names.
I am not aware. I don't know. I've not also seen the postmortem, if they have died as a result of the hunger. Of course, it will be sad if there are people who have died because of as a result of hunger because of the government delay. Yes, I would take your cause. Perhaps Honorable Ecweru should as well. Because government did not have. The government did not have. Yeah. The government did not have the idea of central cooking and supplying cooked food. The government's idea was give families food. And Honorable Ssemujju, the people who are coming to you, they're not just coming to your members of parliament. other people are receiving similar outcry.
You just don't know.
Similar.
For once, you can be really honest.
Before I came to the studio, we are sharing. I can tell you that
they are going to his home.
Yes, they come to my home. Yesterday, I got a check from Kibuli, who walked from Kibuli to Media Center and said, I have. The other day, I had a check again. A check. I don't know why he shakes. Who walks to my house
yesterday
at 6 with the 3 children, and I must look for something.
So ask him now.
So we are saying we have corrected the system. We hope we are going to be faster and deliver good food. And you have not had the recipients, by the way, making an outcry of bad food.
Do they have it?
Do they have an
option?
The question I wanted to ask Oscar. Ofwono was on television last evening, and I got him right. He said this particular food they are distributing was for the first 14 days. He actually said they are in a discussion to see if they will have a second phase of distribution.
Now those are questions for Musa Ecweru.
No.
So look at him.
Both of them.
So
the question I am asking
communicates from Musa Ecweru.
Yeah, so
when you have Ecweru here, don't ask.
The 14 days ended long ago, before they recovered. Now we are in a phase in which they are supposed to be coming back to distribute. They did not cover the whole of Wakiso and more than half of Kampala in the first 14 days. Now we've moved the quota into the 21 days. They are still in Kampala. I mean, Ofwono Opondo, you are very annoying that you will come with food in Bukasa where I stay after another 21 days. What will it be for?
Yes. Musa Ecweru.
Yes.
As you come on microphone, I have a couple of messages here.
And I know you always smiling.
Abdu, let me take off your microphone.
And the ones who say even under a dark cloud, there's a silver lining.
Okay.
You need to laugh.
And Abdu, hold your fire. David in Kampala says, our MPs are giving themselves 20 million each. And David, we are going to discuss that in a minute, to sensitize their constituents on COVID-19. But they cannot reach their constituents because public gatherings are banned, funerals are for close relatives, weddings are for close relatives. MPs cannot travel to their constituencies. MPs are not allowed to distribute food. Then I have Philip in Kampala. He says there's trouble here, a bit of what these people have been saying. We have a whole Ministry for Planning, Disaster Preparedness, National Planning Authority, UBOS, UNBS, all have been sleeping on the job. Plus big cabinet and government authorities don't have baseline statistics, are now appearing to work now. You can't even trust your own systems, including the LCs. What are we going to do to get there? Let me stop for a quick break, Musa Ecweru, because people here want to shout at you, and then they shout at you in this little break, and then you come back with answers. Right, welcome back from a break. You know, I'm like a prediction officer. I said, let me stop so people shout at you, Musa Ecweru, and they have shouted. So, and I will not say whether all shouted or not. So, where do you want to start? With your MP?
No, first
Musa will always smile. That's
no, first thing is central cooking can never be admitted. India tried in 2 states. But what has happened there? They lit fire because a few beneficiaries were sick. They had COVID-19 and they have sparked off a problem that they are regretting. Unfortunately, they want to abandon it, but the hungry people are saying we would rather die with the COVID-19, but we must eat. So they are in a catch-22 situation. We don't want to borrow that idea because we will regret. That's why we have insisted that we'll try this door-to-door, expensive, tedious, but I think it is safer for the population, and the Minister of Health has consistently guided us on that. Honorable Ssemujju, I will never just ignore your phone. Like the truth is that what he said, even after here, they want to meet me in the stores. I have a tactical office in Nakawa. And if you get me there, you'll not know that you are meeting your friend who is sometimes on his fairly good jackets, and I put khakis, and because it's dusty also, so I have to cover my, apart from just the COVID-19, I have also to protect. So I have to be there, and the place is not properly even aerated. but it is our tactical office. So all these friends, including the bishops I was telling you about, I've invited them there so that they see firsthand, and I will be very happy, Honorable Ssemujju, to invite you there, because I've invited some of your colleagues that have been there. I will invite you there, and Honorable Abdu Katuntu, so that you come and get a first-hand impression of what your friend is doing. I am sure you will go to the house and say, first of all, give this man more money so that he does this job, and then also pray for me.
Whatever you asked, we gave. You asked for 59 billion, which we gave.
No, it was 65.
That one for praying for you is very necessary.
Yeah, so you will pray. So
because I'm also still working out the formula of 6 kilos. Is it 6 kilos for a family, 6 kilos for a person?
For a person. So that is what's happening. Now, my friends are saying, why did you start in? Again, I think we have tried our best to explain this. The reality, Abdu, is that yes, Ginger has already sent. We have done, and as I have shared it with your colleagues from Ginger municipality, there are certainly slums, informal settlements in Ginger that are just as bad, and we are not ignoring them at all. But like I've told you, and OO has also helped to emphasize, we said we must start somewhere. Let's get started. And we started. We have also, then while we are handling even Kampala, OO has correctly told you, the district superintendents, medical superintendents of the different hospitals were calling. For example, I gave an example to you in the house. There is a hospital called Tokora in Nakapiripirit. It admits, apparently it has a missionary background, so it has a good reputation. So it admits people even from Kenya, this Pokot. So they have been riding on motorbikes to come, the caregivers, and to support their people. Now we have cut the border, we have blocked the border, and so these people are here, Kenyan Pokot with the Ugandans, admitted in Tokora. What do you do? So the medical superintendent was saying, Minister, send a vehicle and we load them and we send them back to Kenya. You see, that will be very inhuman. The best we can do is to send food so that you can support them where we are. The same applies to Matanya. Then somebody calls in Rukungiri. In fact, that's why I realize sometimes colleagues also don't know what happens in there. Because when I mentioned the Kisisi something hospital in Rukungiri, the MPs from there say, no, it is not near the border. But I was called by a bishop.
That's not possible, sir.
I was called by a bishop.
How can an MP not know a hospital in his area?
No. He says it is in Rukungiri, but it's not so close to the border. Why are you quoting? But I was called by a bishop who told me, this hospital, because of its reputation.
So I hope you don't say it is Chris Variomus.
No, it can't be him. That one apparently is very thorough. Yes. So they told me that this hospital apparently admits Ugandans, but also admits mainly from DR Congo. I think because of the price and the services. They charge very, very manageable prices, and then the services. Now they are cut off also. What do we do to them? I say, keep those guys there. We are sending food. So that is just to indicate to you the magnitude of the problem. So, Oscar, the truth is that we cannot deceive the country. We don't even want to create false hope that we are going to feed these 45 million Ugandans. What we are going to do is...
Someone has just told me that you should promise you are going to provide food until June.
I wouldn't want to promise that, because that can be a cabinet position. If I am, what we'll do, we have faced the way we are doing. After the first phase of about 2 million people, we are going back to cabinet and to my colleague members of parliament and say, we have done this. We may not have met your expectations, but this is what we have done. So in our feeling, this is what is obtaining in the field. If they indicate if they tell us go ahead and there are resources to do that, but what I know, the truth is, the moment we lift this lockdown, the moment we defeat COVID-19, Ugandans can rebound. The capacity for our people, even I was in Teso some years when there was war. There was a time when you could not even see a goat in Teso. We thought we are doomed completely. But the moment peace returned, everything came back as if it was...
it
takes time, but I'm not talking about coming back.
Even now, look at your cattle industry.
It's not about
what it was.
But where I can tell you, Oscar, there were villages in Teso where for the first time, what we used to read in books, Kwashako, was seen among adults during that time of the war. But you can't see it now. Why? Because the population may be poor, but they're able to feed themselves. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying that. That's why, of course, I'm embarrassed, and I feel a lot of pain all the time when these Ubos gives these poverty indicators, and they say Karamoja is the poorest, Teso is the second poorest, and Bukede and Busoga. I feel so embarrassed. I feel so embarrassed, and we must do something about it. And that will bring me to the next thing that I want to say on air here, Oscar. I am told that the international community now demands this ethanol, the thing for sanitizers.
Yes.
But I'm seeing my colleagues, particularly agriculture, discussing raw materials, and they're already talking about sugarcane and bananas. It is wrong. Scientists have told me cassava has the biggest content of ethanol. And if the international community is determined to produce this product at the quantities that we are being told, and they are likely even to give grants, we are going to convince our friends, especially Ssemujju and team, to emphasize the growing cassava and change it to a commercial crop, while it's also so that it can change the cassava growing areas also to disappear from this bottom of really being the poorest, because we can produce it in good quantities and be able to. So those are some of the things we are going to share, and I will want my colleagues here to support us in this. I will be speaking as a stakeholder.
Musa Ecweru, you are now in politics. When is food reaching Chira? That's what I want to hear.
I also have a message. Food, yes.
No.
I have a message for you from your constituent, Ivan Okuda.
Yes.
So it's very good show, Capital, Oscar. Abdu Katuntu and Ibrahim are their best. Very solid issues they raise and closer to the reality on ground. I sympathize with my area MP, Papa Ecweru, for his working for and in a complex system that sees this pandemic as a magic wand to reap political and financial windfalls.
Yes.
May God keep Uganda safe. So it seems we have to get you back here repeatedly, Musa Ecweru, so that
my brother
next
Ivan,
week,
I know him.
Yes. So next week when we get you back,
yes,
you will have covered Wakiso, you'll have covered Entebbe. Which other areas?
No, when I come back here, and I promise that I will come.
Yes.
I will be indicating to the country the areas covered, and I will also indicate the country the households covered, and the population. We have that data. I will be capturing.
So if you send me earlier, then I post a bit and analyze a bit. So on Saturday we are
the country can say yes. The country can
maybe this is national radio. People are listening to what you're saying.
Yes, I am telling you what we will do, because this is not. We're not doing this.
I need to ask Musa. I need to ask my brother Musa a question.
Yes.
You had intended to feed in Kampala 1.5 million.
1.5 million.
How long do you estimate it's going to take you?
No,
from today.
I've told you.
From today.
I have told you. Let me, because first of all, I have told you from the beginning, from yesterday, the dynamics changed.
Okay.
Our capacity.
With that dynamics changing, how long do you estimate it's going to?
This is what is going to take me after this debate. I am going to meet my colleagues, and then, because I don't want also to. This is not a one-man show.
No, you have answered the question.
I'm just a chairman. I'm a chairman of a subcommittee. So I will want to go and meet my colleagues and say, now that we are moving at this pace, let's assume we will move at this. When do we conclude Kampala? When are we in Wakiso? And we are going to, so that when I come to the country, to
Oscar,
talk to
in fact, Honorable Ecweru, I'm going to do better, because I'm interviewing Honorable Ecweru for my NBS face-off show.
Yes.
So after, you are going to have all this information shortly, and you'll present it.
Yeah, I will try. I will.
Oscar, yesterday, I told Ofwono before we came to the studio, I think a captain, EPDF soldier responsible for security in Ukasa, where I stay, they bumped into a crowd at my gate, and they started shouting at them, why are they not observing social distance? What are you doing here? So I at that time walked to speak to them. Said, no, we want food. Said, but his MP is not distributing food. Eventually they come down and said, you see, you MPs, and we hear you on radio and TV. If you don't bring food here in the next 2 days.
That's the captain.
Yes. These people are now not going to be at the gate. They are going to jump into your house. He said, even us at the barracks, people are coming for food. So this is the trouble that you have created to everybody. And these are soldiers. They said, even in the barracks, Women walked there with children.
The captain,
let him respond.
The captain was not professional.
Musa Ecweru, finish off. Yes.
The captain should not.
In conclusion, on food issue,
When is he reaching Chira?
his constitution.
When are you reaching
I will
Chira?
make it public. I will
when
make
is
it
he
public.
picking your
Yeah.
call?
I will make it
Those
public.
ones are
Okay.
good enough. Now,
Yes,
I
yes.
thank God he has been brought
Gone.
to capital.
Go-
When are you reaching
You know,
Chira?
no, I have.
I have switched off Ssemujju's
yes,
microphone.
Ssemujju, don't you know? You see,
You've been a nice
yes,
boy,
he-
picking
no, no.
Now you are picking. When are you reaching Chira?
yes. No, the truth is that Kira is already in our radar. And we are going to serve the people of Kira. I am a resident there. I am blocked every morning. I am blocked every morning when I come from Namgongo. The people say, just stop first. When are you giving us food? And so the pain Ssemujju is going through, I go through it.
Yesterday in Chigo, some border men told me,
go
for you just make a phone call and the food comes here.
Yes, sir.
So
we will do our best.
when the show ends, Chigo people, I'm going to ask Musa Ecweru
we'll
when
do
we
our
are getting
best.
us.
What I
So
want-
final statement from you, Musa Ecweru, on food.
The truth is that yes, the food, why it was slow, and we have now brought UNBS to encamp in our stores so that they don't wait to do post-mortem. So that of course has also slowed a few processes because initially they just used to take a sample or two and go to they have now brought their gadgets in our store, so they work in the store, and that to me is I want to thank the leadership of UNBS for accepting to be flexible. Then we are talking about food. The maize flour is adequate. The country had a bumper harvesting.
At this stage, Musa Ecweru, people just want food.
Yes,
they bring it in the form it is.
As long
as the beans don't have stones.
The beans are the challenge. Yeah. That's why people were supplying. They thought they could supply anything. We said we must supply beans.
Like Luzira, when I was in Luzira, they were serving posho at midday and beans 2 hours later.
No, we can't.
The mix is in the stomach.
No, that one was to
display. They said they didn't have enough boilers, so they were giving us posho at midday and beans.
No, the idea was
so
there
you
was
give us what you have.
Oscar, the idea in Luzira was to discipline Ssemujju.
No,
we are not disciplining
prisoner.
citizens. We are just serving
I was not
them.
the only prisoner.
The operations of Luzira are different from disaster response.
So
yes.
we let's stop for a quick break, and then after the break, and Musa Ecweru, you need to stay here because you're also a parliamentarian. So after the break, we look at the supplementary budget, and then the 20 million. I don't know. I have 3 MPs here. Potentially 60 million in their pockets here.
Can you imagine?
So let us stop the break.
I want more.
The Capital Gang on 91.3 Capital FM.
That was a quick break to end conversation on food. Honorable Katuntu, these things we need to understand them slowly. First, there was a request for 90 billion. Then there was a request for 284 billion. Then finally, there was a request and approval of not 922, because the 922 we added on a statutory, which means parliament, of 10 billion. So it came to 932 billion. 765,397,513 Uganda shillings. How did we get there?
Yeah, thank you very much, Oscar. And I think I have seen a lot of conversations going on in the media about the supplemental, especially outrage about the 10 billion
which calculates into 20 million for each MP.
Yes. But we would like to the public to appreciate the context first of all, and also our anger originally, because when the budget committee was done with its report, some of us thought would have a public discourse, and you can hear even my brother Musa saying we are taking too long. So they wanted this thing to be passed as soon as the day before because of the emergency. And eventually, a lot of requests which had been made by Minister of Finance passed and debated by the House because there was no debate at all. And some of us were insisting we needed to have a debate about it. And if we had had that debate, then even the 10 billion would have been discussed and maybe even put in context. But let us look at it. When you look at both the addendums 1 and 2, the recurrent which was being requested was 200. In addendum 1, the recurrent was 203 billion. In addendum 2,
hold on. What does recurrent mean?
We have two types of budgets: the what we call development, and then the recurrent. And this is purely about the recurrent, about your expenditures and so operations and so on. So, in all, and the public need to understand these figures before they debate about the 10 billion, because we are talking about a budget of a trillion shillings. Recurrent was 203 billion. Development was 435. The total coming to 638. But we had a statutory one of 9 billion which went to the judiciary. In total, it came to 648 billion. Then the addendum 2, which is the COVID finance, we had 207 recurrent, 66 development, which came 274, plus the 10 billion that went to Parliamentary Commission, making it 284 billion. In total, it came to 932.7 billion. That is the money we passed without debate. And when you look at this 932 billion, Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs was supplied 458 billion. 458 billion without debate, which they termed classified. Then you can go on Ministry of Health, 30 billion, and then the one which we added them of the COVID, which came to 82 billion, and it came to 90 billion because they subtracted the 20 billion which had been released the day earlier. So, yes, at the end of this, the budget committee had suggested in their report that there would be 10 billion shillings for the Parliamentary Commission to go to members of Parliament. But there was no debate about it in the House. And Musa knows this. Everybody knows it. So, there are two reports of the budget committee. One was the majority, which was presented by the chairperson, the Honorable Gorovi, the chairperson of the budget committee. Then there was another report, a minority report, presented by the Honorable Karuhanga Gerard, and it had been signed by members of the budget committee, Honorable Cecilia Ogwal, the Honorable Joya Tim, the Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi, and the Honorable Winnie Kiza, who actually differed with the majority report. Unfortunately, that opportunity didn't arise. One, government didn't want any debate about this budget. It wanted it passed as yesterday. And who moved the motion that we should not even debate? It was the Honorable Isaac Musumba, a minister in government. So, minister is the one who said we shouldn't even have a debate. At that time, many of us stood up and said, no, you cannot pass a budget of 932 billion without debate. However, because once a motion, according to our rules...
Even before you leave that one, I see Ministry of Health has 30 billion in the first schedule and 90 billion in the second schedule.
Yes.
Police has does it have anything in the first schedule? Because I've seen they have 30 something in the second schedule.
Yes, they do.
In the second schedule?
Yes.
But not in the first schedule?
No, not in the first.
And yet police need money?
Yes, not in the first. Actually, in the first...
UPDF is the biggest.
In the first, it is about Ministry of Defense.
Yeah.
And the Office of the President, which took around 1.4 billion. Then Ministry of Finance, it took 3 billion. But of all this, they were just really... there are other government departments that benefited from this. But the majority of it, which is 458 billion, half was by Ministry of Defense. And to me, if we are going to really talk about the 10 billion, which I think the public is entitled to ask what it's going to do and so on, we should be talking about the 922 billion. But that we cannot debate about the 922 billion and we are debating only about the 10 billion. I think that is unfair.
Okay.
It is really unfair. But that does not mean to say that even the 10 billion should not be what?
Okay.
Yeah. Or it was just fine.
Honorable Ssemujju.
I was going to say your revision is, I was going to say so, but,
No,
you have cleared yourself.
I am on record, and some of us on record to say that it was wrong. We needed a debate and an appreciation of each and.
Can you kindly table motion?
They may not
They are
let
not.
Honorable
they are
Ssemujju.
not tabled.
Conference at Media Center.
Yeah. And Oscar, when before Ssemujju comes in, I am going to get you the answer, and you read the submission of our senior, the Honorable Cecily Ogwara, about this.
Yes.
Because the public should know that yes, it is
read
not
it.
a
But you see-
conspiracy.
but you
He
see-
said, I read it. It says, let us have a disagreement.
Yeah, but you see, that is cancelled by the ruling by the person who was in the chair that you MPs, you don't owe the public an explanation.
He never said it in those terms. I know you have a little bit a problem with the right honourable speaker, but don't bring your personal opinion or different.
And Abdu.
It's not
Abdu,
correct.
hold on. I don't want the debate to happen right now. Let's first. Honorable Ssemujju, you are next
always
on.
putting the words in the mouth of the speaker.
You are
It's
next
wrong.
on microphone, and I like the way you've asked Honorable Ecweru to bring food. But the question now is going to come back to you in the constituency that for you, you are campaigning for 6 kilograms for someone, as you take 20 million.
I think the work of an MP in Uganda is a very difficult work, Oscar. People want you to do work without any money. And I think that's the good MP. No facilitation, because all the time I have worked at Monitor, at Observer, even when Parliament buys you a computer, it's a story in a newspaper. Where I worked, I was being given airtime to do work. At Parliament, they give you airtime, it is a story in a newspaper. But this 20 million shilling, you will not find any complaint in my constituency. Because I started distributing food on day one. It's as if I asked, the first group I asked them, when Mr. Museveni announced that there will be a lockdown, did he put a phrase that the next day you go to Ssemujju for food? I asked the first group, and I didn't know that these things are going to be bad. I am distributing food every single day. In the history, my history as a member of Parliament, I have returned money twice. This particular one, even if you bring a caterpillar, and I want anyone to hear, because me, I don't pretend. I have seen Honorable Zaki writing that he wants to return. I want to go and plead with him to give it to me. Because I have porridge centers, I am soldier, I have 40. Because I must balance between morality and starvation. So I have people who are feeding on porridge, pregnant women, and they hear that Ssemujju, because he wants to be a populist, is returning money. Let me tell you, on this one, you can bring 4 caterpillar. If they give it to me, they haven't given it to me. I am looking forward. Actually, I want to go and thank Kadaga and complain 20 is not enough. Because if the only job I am doing in my compound is to open and give people, I have been at Mandela. At one day Mandela closed. I had to go to Ofwono Opondo to bring him maize from Nachifuma. Is this my job as an MP? So if I go through this and I hear
Mandela closed because there was no food.
the maize you gave me, the maize you gave me was for selling. Did you give it to me for free? And then I had to go to Mukono to a maize mirror. So what I am going through, Oscar, as an MP in an urban area today, it is something I have never gone through. If there are MPs who want to be populist, return the money. By the way, when I returned the money the second time, I had trouble. We were only 14. Even those who returned the money like they are now doing on social media, they ended up not returning the money. Some MPs are bad-mannered. For me, when I say I'm going to return the money, I will return and get a receipt. So therefore, Oscar, this particular one is not enough. I am actually looking for Kadaga first to thank her, but to tell her I want more.
Okay.
If government feeds everybody in my constituency, those who are coming, no, I have already incurring costs. Which one will I return? I have told you I went to Mandela the first time, made an order. The following day I went when they had closed. I even had to call people from their homes to come and give me the second consignment. When they didn't, I called Ofwono. He says, now you come to Nachifuma. I have become Ecweru wants me to go to his store. I want him to come to my home. I don't have to come to your store. And you see what I go through. I call the numbers. She's going through the same thing. So
let us ask Musa Ecweru.
So I am looking for the MPs who want to return the money after this show. I want to go and they give it to me. When I feed the Kira, or when government feeds Kira, they can come for their money. But now, please.
Musa Ecweru,
and that's
you are also an MP.
Was denied.
Now, before I comment on the 10 billion, Oscar,
you don't even need to comment on all the 10.
Yes,
did you get your 20 million?
Not yet.
No, the truth is, we need to put on record that man has not been paid.
Not yet. Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah, but
it has not yet been paid.
We are monitoring. We shall know when it is
But
paid.
I just wanted.
No, I will tell you, Oscar.
That money has not yet been paid. That's the truth.
Musa Ecweru?
Oscar, the fact first, I want to put a few things to perspective. This one of defense, 458 billion and classified, looks very big. And if you are not careful, you'll think the defense is just a greedy institution. I am not their spokesperson, but I just want my colleagues and listeners to understand from me, who is managing also refugees. I came to the media center and announced that because of this challenge, we are blocking all the borders, porous as they may be. I don't want refugees from South Sudan. I don't want refugees from DR Congo. I don't to continue coming. We activated the UN system. We told UNHCR Kampala, get in touch with the Congo, get in touch with the DR Congo, get in touch with Juba. Those people who are victims of violence must be encamped within their countries for the next 30 days. We also closed what we call reception centers. But then, while we were doing that, we knew the border is still porous. So these people, I can tell you, Oscar, have continued. For example, there is fighting as we talk now going on in Ibonia between some warlords and whatever. And then the people who are coming from an Ebola-infested place and probably also having COVID-19 were threatening to enter Zombo. So we pleaded to security, you people, now you have been in detaches and stuff, but you in charge of security, please help the police and LOCs to police this porous border. Can you imagine just from Paida, policing it all the way to Aroa? It takes so many units, and as we talk
Musa,
now,
no information on that one, because we need to get the fact. The 458 billion is not part of what you are talking about. That one is in addendum 2, and UPDF was given 30.3 billion.
But I just wanted.
So it's different from even the 400.
I am not a spokesperson. Again, I want to make this clear. But I just want the country to know that this situation we are dealing with is not normal. And in this abnormal situation, these institutions of government have been stretched beyond what they even had planned for. So I really want you.
No. The information Honorable Katuntu is giving you. Please take
I have taken note of
this request.
Yes. So
this
that
request came before COVID.
Yeah. So now, then this one of the 10 billion now each MP is supposed to. For me as a minister, it is true that we have responsibility. It is, some people are saying, now there is a lockdown. When the truth is, the people of Amuria are listening. Every single day that we are
and not just Amuria, the people of Uganda are also listening.
Every single day we are in our constituencies. The pressure, people don't differentiate between a member of parliament and the government. They think the member of parliament has capacity to do this. So we, as ministers, for example, may not be sitting in the parliamentary commission to say do this. But I think the parliamentary commission, in its wisdom,
Minister of Finance is there, the Prime Minister's office,
but in their wisdom,
so it is not true that cabinet doesn't sit in the commission. If they saw
that this will help, the most important thing, how transparently can it be utilized for the benefit of the citizens? If that is the question, then that should be the subject of debate. But to say it is wrong, because first of all, 20 billion of Ofwono Opondo will not change so many things. 20 million will not change.
So it will not change.
Don't respond. Finish. Conclude that.
So to me,
then I'll have
what is important is, yes, I agree that the Minister of Health needs more money. Even what they got is not enough. Because we want this, what the doctor, our good doctor was telling us, we want ventilators, we want masks, we want so many things.
We want payment for COVID workers, medical staff.
That must come, and this should not. So we should not lose sight of the and then misdirect our debate. So for me,
Ofwono Opondo?
Yes.
Well, first of all, my colleagues, the MPs,
I've switched off their microphones.
Swore to defend the Constitution and also to legislate.
Which is why they wanted the budget debated.
Yes. And therefore, I would have expected them first to stick to the legal mandate of an MP. Now, secondly, they also borrow best practices, particularly in the Commonwealth. I would have wanted them to cite other Commonwealth jurisdiction countries where COVID lockdown is in. Perhaps they are also giving relief support. They are going to give relief support to their people, and MPs have given money. Parliament has voted money directed to MPs to feed their population. The best practices in the Commonwealth. I would have expected them to do so. But be that as it may, this is not the first time. We must always bear this in mind. This is not the first time for MPs or for Parliament to give this kind of money. Every time there has been a justification. Now they are giving a justification that they are cooking porridge. I think the Parliament should have insisted government to deliver on its mandate. I think that would have been much better for them. Now, for them to say that because they took on this role which is not theirs, therefore it should be funded through the Treasury, I think it is wrong. Secondly, are MPs the only ones giving relief support? Or perhaps because they enjoy higher pedestal, they are the ones that the media captures. There are thousands or millions of other leaders who are giving similar relief support. Are they the only ones who are elected? We have local council people, LC5 chairpersons, councillors, LC3, who may be giving similar support. How come this good Parliament has not voted similar money to LC councillors, to LC3 chairpersons, also to give some stipend or food to their respective constituencies?
May I ask you a leading question?
Yes.
So, in your opinion, do you think MPs accepted the 10 billion to quickly get this budget through without scrutiny?
Yes, I'm privy. In fact, this 10 billion, I think, was a sweetener
to get the budget through.
A sweetener. And remember this debate, by the way. Even this debate about attempting to halt government from distributing food in Kampala, there was innuendo and discussion in Parliament that this relief food be given to MPs directly, like Ssemujju Nganda, give me portion, I can't give my people.
Wouldn't it have worked?
It could have worked, but what was the purpose? For them to take political electoral advantage. Remember,
well, the president.
Remember, and also remember.
I'm going to take
and remember, MPs are now used to asking for votes. One of the reasons they are praising Musa here, Musa gives through his mandate, gives them food, gives them hand hose. The government gives them hand hose. They give them. They give them planting materials and so on and so on. If I go, yes. If I go to Bugweri, I am not so sure that my brother who has been receiving hand hose and beans and planting materials of maize, that productivity in Bugweri has improved. So I think what Parliament, and with due respect, what they are doing is a rationalization. They take a bad decision, they take a wrong decision, and they rationalize it. This 10 billion are directed to members of Parliament has the net effect of undermining, for example, the call by government to the private sector to support government in the public fund, the public response fund. Because if the government is saying, buy for us ambulances, buy for us pickup trucks, do this for us, and on the one side, you have money to give to individual MPs, I would have supported if the money was institutional, that there is a role, perhaps a parliamentary committee, a technical committee of parliament on COVID, which I know is there, and this money is going to be used by parliament as an institution, not individual MPs. I know my brother Abdu,
thank you,
you are rationalizing a wrong decision.
Thank you, Abdu, hold on. We've run out of time, and I don't want to. Honorable Ssemujju, I don't want to finish off before I give my principal's tip, the Mwalimu's tip. So 3 things for you, Honorable Ssemujju. Encourage children to do creative writing next week. They should begin with.
Last week.
No, last week the other week you were reading fiction. Yeah. Last week you were cooking. So next week
I'd like to teach us the
difference between the two. I did. I sent a poster to him. Have you looked at the poster?
Now teach us.
Yeah.
It means we need to get it then.
So for this coming week, I'd like you to have creative writing. Start a page because now in schools we are at week 4 of shutdown. So you should write week 5 or week 1, week 2. What are they facing in terms of lockdown? Under creative writing. I like exaggeration and use all the other attributes in writing so you can have exaggeration. Number 2 is grooming. Honorable Ssemujju, for grooming, I like speaking, writing, and presentations of all manner. Your presentation, like sometimes all comes in an envelope because he can, but I wouldn't like to get your children to wear that envelope. So speaking, writing, and presentation under grooming. Then the third one, my number 3, is local language. Try and, for the first time, help your children, Abdu, get these children to speak Lusoga or Lusoga next week. Honorable Ssemujju,
let me tell you what I've done on that
Luganda.
My house help is an elder woman who is illiterate.
Now they are going to teach her. They are going to teach her English.
They must communicate, and they have to.
They are going to teach her English. I've seen these things happen.
No, that one they have done. But at least they can even.
So, Musa Ecweru, you let those children speak Ateso for one. So those are the 3 tips: creative writing, grooming, and local language. That's tips from the principal. Abdu, final word.
One, you see, in circumstances like this, what suffers is the truth. It's the first victim. That's why you see everybody is trying to take a political advantage out of a very bad situation. And now you can hear a government spokesman saying that this government bribed MPs with the 10 billion shillings because they wanted to take away 922 billion. A government spokesperson. Really, to me,
I can see how truth is being the casualty here now.
No. You said it. And then 3 is saying, they didn't want MPs to be distributing food because they would take political advantage out of it. Therefore, food should be brought here and it should be distributed. Right now, anybody who does it will be accused of attempted murder.
Right now, actually, it's only the president getting political advantage.
And you see, we can't run away from it. If it is about a political contestation, then you'll have even other political actors to see how they cannot be overridden by this particular contestation. And it's very unfortunate at the end of the day.
Final word, Honorable Ssemujju.
All the points nearly that Ofwono Opondo has made are valid. I have asked myself.
Yeah, but he makes it in the bad faith.
Of course he does, obviously.
and you was
in the very good faith.
and I have followed the debate. I have to make a personal decision, balancing morality and people who are starving. And I have said, Oscar, if this money is eventually given, and on Monday I will be at the speaker's door asking when it is coming, because I want more.
Not it will come around Wednesday.
I am not going to return this money like I have done before, because I face a completely different situation. I have asked the Honorable Zake. I saw his letter. He says he doesn't want it.
Return the money.
I have written to him officially. I want the money.
Bobby Wine maybe not take his. You also will take that one. In my village, you are my MP, so I must follow what you're doing.
For more MPs who don't want it, for me, I want
take it. Okay.
And I have said that there are also MPs in the past. I have returned money twice, who return it on social media. When you go to the office of the clerk, they have not returned the money.
Ofwono Opondo, last word. We'll have Musa Ecweru.
First of all, even decisions made in good faith, let me assume that the members of parliament gave themselves 10 billion and they did not give other elected leaders who have similar challenges, and they did so in good faith.
No, salary is higher than the
I want to say it is our constitutional right, whether the government spokesperson or not, to challenge the decisions of public institutions and public, and therefore members of parliament or parliament as an institution cannot try to wish away this debate. That they say simply because you are our leaders.
This is your final word.
Yes.
Sure. Move away from that. You've already said.
Yeah.
Final word, government spokesman.
No, he wants to say it
as emphatically
as possible.
Yes.
Final word, government spokesman.
Final word, the law enforcement, what I started with, is reviewing to apply stricter measures for the vehicle for the vehicle traffic. We want Malawi is Malawi, Uganda is Uganda. All these measures being applied is not to penalize the citizens, the public. It is meant for public health.
And media people are worried about stickers, so you need to
media
to reassure.
Media people, we are not giving you any stickers at all.
We have them.
You are going to make do with those stickers. We ask you not to transfer to other users for your convenience.
No media person has transferred.
Secondly, I want the media to go out there where we are now distributing food. We are asking them to go to the stores to see for themselves the distribution process, so that the public does not depend to some of the falsehood of Honorable Ssemujju and others who would wish that the government
if we have reached to supply,
I am really very sorry, fails. Because obviously, Ssemujju, I am sure it is not in your interest that this government delivers food relief distribution.
Let me tell you, even if it is Satan bringing food, I am going to clap for it.
Well, Satan won't deliver the food; it will deliver evil. So I want to appeal to the media. I want to appeal to the media, particularly the media in Kampala, the media in the districts. Go to the regional hospitals where food is now arriving, and help us broadcast. First of all, the arrival, but also the way it is being handled. So then, if there are mistakes, we are able to correct.
Okay, final word from the minister on the show.
Honorable colleagues and Oscar, all armies in the world win wars when they have reliable commanders. And in this vein, I want to thank President Museveni for the calm demeanor he has demonstrated in the face of this COVID.
By the way, I forgot to ask you at the very beginning. Yes. Can you do 30 push-ups?
More than that, of course, because I am slightly younger, but he did very well. But I want to thank him for the calm demeanor he has demonstrated in the face of this COVID. He has not panicked like some colleagues. No. He has not panicked like some colleagues around the world are panicking and just doing finger pointing. He has accepted the enemies in our doors, and we must confront it head on. That's why I really salute him. I also want to salute him for breaking down the science jargon to a level where we can understand. When he's communicating, even Abdu Katuntu's people in the village can appreciate. Can appreciate. So I want to thank him for that. Now, then I am a messenger of hope.
Yes.
My work is to deliver hope.
That should be your final message.
Because if the president begins running in his office, does that bring food to Kira?
I want to assure Uganda that we will deliver the food. We will deliver the food. So Oscar, I want to assure Uganda, just like Ofwono Opondo has said, we are going to be as transparent as the world can be. Yes. So we are going to involve the media so that they really follow every detail of what we are doing. Ugandans, be patient out there. We will try our best to reach particularly all those who have zero options, and that is our commitment. And I want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to communicate this message.
Thank you so much, the gangsters of the day. Thank you for listening in. The weather was really for staying home and listening in, even if you had no other choice. In the studio, I have had Honorable Abdu Katuntu, Honorable Ibrahim, Ssemujju Ofwono Opondo, and the Minister Musa Ecweru. We had Dr. James Musinguzi on phone of The zoo, engineer Paul Musasizi, with their ventilation. I tried to get Lydia. I'll get her next week. She had a comment to make on domestic violence. I am Oscar Semuyamsoke, and I shall see you next week. Be safe and stay alive.